Assume you're a data scientist at Instagram who is interested in balancing ads versus follower posts on Instagram. What would you do and how would you monitor its effectiveness? Okay, thank you so much for being here with us today, Wei Cun. Would you quickly introduce yourself for our viewers?
No problem. So I'm Wei Chun. I'm a product data scientist previously at House. I work for building dashboard for business intelligence and also establishing A/B testing experiment design for cost inference relationship finding. So that's pretty much of it.
Okay, amazing. So that's a lot of really relevant data science experience that I'm eager to hear about today. Okay, so let's get right into our question. Our question today is, assume you're a data scientist at Instagram who is interested in balancing ads versus follower posts on Instagram. What would you do and how would you monitor its effectiveness?
Mhm. So the first thing, let me clarify. So by what you mean by balancing followers, posts, and also ads? I would assume it's like finding a balance between the frequency of posts and also the ads. Is that right?
Yeah, so the frequency of how often ads versus posts are shown on your feed.
Cool. Sounds good. Okay, then let me proceed. So, what I heard right now and what I would do first is to have measurement to measure the performance on the ad side and also the performance on the followers post side. So I would say for followers post is more like an engagement of the social media platform. So the metrics I'll put for the engagement is like daily active user, weekly active user, monthly active user, depends on different frequency. And also the time on side of their session, meaning when they open Instagram, how long will they use it? And also there can be some other metrics like likes and also following user, but let's put weekly active user and time on side for now on the engagement side.
Okay.
And then on the ad side, um, what we want to know is like the impression of the ads, and but the more we focus on would be like click-through rate of the ads, meaning how many people actually click the ads when they see it, and also the revenue we're making from ads. I would normalize it back like average ads revenue per user, meaning in terms of every user we are having on our platform, what's the average ads revenue we're having from them. So
Okay.
far, does it sound good to you?
Yeah, that sounds great. I like that you were able to discuss a variety of metrics for both engagement and ads.
Mhm. Cool. So with the metrics defined, what I want to do right now here is I want to set up an A/B testing, but with more variant, because our goal is to find a balance between ads and also engagement. So what I would suggest is, for example, if our current frequency for ads is every 5 posts there is an ads, then what I would suggest is let's our uh, control version of the A/B testing, and we can have two treatment. One is every 3 posts one ads, and every 7 posts one ads. We can uh, change the frequency based on our historical data analysis. So basically here what I'm proposing is increasing the frequency and also decreasing the frequency. Using this way, I'm trying to see how users reaction toward the frequency change, because I'm proposing a hypothesis that user might find different frequency have different reactions. So I'm using this A/B testing to have validate their reaction toward to it. Does it
Okay,
sound good
gotcha.
so far?
So
Yeah.
that's compared to the control, which is the current level of ads, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. Cool. So from here, I'll try to use the whiteboard to like visualize it a little bit, and also I can also draw some chart. Does it sounds okay?
Yeah, that'd be great. Feel free to share your screen.
So on the engagement side, right now we have like what I say. I'll try to simplify. So I put weekly active user for now, and on the ad side, let me use the average ads revenue per user right now. So what I'm trying to do, meanwhile, when we do the A/B testing, is that um, ideally, in terms of the sales, if we only talk about the sales in ads, it's basically like average user, weekly active user times average ads revenue per user. That's our like weekly revenue. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming like for the x-axis is the engagement,
Mm-hmm.
and on the y-axis is like the ads. So ideally, when we test it, we will have like different result, like um, for um, A version, B version, and C version, it might have different distribution. So basically,
Mm-hmm.
this is helping us to learn more about users' reaction and how we can balance between ads and also engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So ideally, through this A/B testing, we can know like users' reaction and analyze the result afterward. So using this way, I think what the team is trying to do with A/B testing is we need to find a way that we can grow from the bottom left to the top right,
Okay.
because this is the uh, direction we want to grow the business. Because we get more user, meanwhile getting more ads revenue from our user. So we don't want to sacrifice the ads too much, and we don't want to sacrifice the engagement too much. Using
Right.
this way, we
Okay.
can have right direction, how we can improve and also balance between them.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. So now with the experiment setup, like we have current version of the ads frequency and also decreasing frequency and increasing frequency, randomize the user into the A/B test, and also set out a hypothesis. We can also have some A/B testing parameter setting up like alpha, beta, and minimum detectable effect. If you want me to elaborate more on that, we can talk about it later. But overall, setting up the A/B testing, we test the results, see the user's reaction, and then based on the uh, A/B test result data, we can analyze how's the impact on the weekly active user and also the ads revenue per user, and seeing like the p-value and confidence interval, how we can share the results with the team, analyze the result, and providing suggestion like user sensitivity when we decrease and increase the frequency. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we can have more sense to understand, like if we want to increase the frequency, how much weekly active user is actually trending negative or is remain the same, or when we decrease the frequency, how its impact to the average ad revenue.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and it sounds like you're doing this over a fixed period of time, right? How would you measure the impact over like a longer period of time to make sure that it's not like a novelty effect or some sort of network effect?
Yeah. So once we have sense how to balance and we decide to launch one of the version, what I would do is that I will hold up like 10% of the traffic and put it into the like still putting into the control, and while the other 90% are in the treatment. Using this way, I can observe for longer period of time. And meanwhile, because we think the version we are launching is actually bringing more revenue and also more benefits, and the holdout group we can keep observing the trend. So what I'm trying to do here is that, for example, if the x-axis is the time and the y-axis is the, let's say, the metrics we are pursuing, let's say the sales, like the weekly active user times the average ads.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what I'm assuming is that for the treatment version, it might trend like better, while for the control version, it might trend a little bit below the trend, because in between, this is the average treatment effect we are observing during an A/B test. Let's say, for example, it trend positive for 5%. So this 5% should be consistent throughout the time, like for a longer time. And if we are seeing the average treatment effect is actually decreasing, that means there might be some novelty effect that users start to realizing they are seeing too many ads, or there we get more active user while we make less money on the average ads revenue. So we can using this kind of like holdout method to observe if this trend is persists while we put it into a longer time.
Okay, sounds good. And what if maybe in this like long-term holdout group you do observe this novelty effect where like over time the users do notice that they're seeing more ads and then they engage a little bit less? What would you do then?
So with that, let's say, for example, if we observe this like decreasing average treatment effect from, let's say, 30 days or 90 days, using this way, I can realize, okay, so 30 day might be the like how long the novelty effect will persist. Then I can use the user's data from like 31st day to like forever, using the data with less bias and also less noise, like the impact without novelty effect. We can do the analysis again to see um, how's the impact right now, and also like using the same methodology to analyze this new frequency of ads, how's the users reaction in terms of the engagement and also the revenue of ads. So you basically it's like to use the hold on method to identify how long if there is a novelty effect, validate it as before. Now we need to update the data, but we know how long how to remove the novelty effect from this data. And using this way, we can update the numbers and coming back to the team, and we can decide to run an A/B testing again, but this time running for a longer period of time to see for decreasing the frequency and also increasing the frequency without the novelty effect. How's the real impact to the user?
Okay, great. Yeah, so it sounds like you would then basically you're running another A/B test but longer term this time.
Yes, so
Yeah.
it's like the first A/B testing because of the novelty effect. I would say what we are assuming doesn't really work as we expected, but we do learn how to like how long the novelty effect will persist, and then we can take this learning to do the A/B testing again to see how we can do better this time.
Mhm. Okay, perfect. So let's switch tacks a little bit now. Assume this time that you're working for Netflix instead, and your team is trying to negotiate the renewal of an exclusive licensing deal for a popular TV series. So how would you use your data to decide whether that TV series is worth renewing, and if you are renewing it, how much is it worth?
No problem. Let me stop sharing and take a minute. Okay, so what we are doing right now is to decide, like using the data to decide how we can dis renew this license with proper pricing, or how to evaluate between different options.
Hmm.
So um, first, I want to check if um, like renewing the license without like non-exclusive license, is it an option? I'm asking this because this might affect the how I using the data later.
Yeah, that's totally an option.
Okay, cool. No problem. So what I will do first is that um, I'll analyze some data based on this TV series. I want to know from our current like Netflix subscriber, how many of them are watching this series, how many new users come in and watch this series as the first time. So I'm assuming these new users are coming to Netflix because of the TV series, because the first series they choose is this TV series. So this is
Hmm.
my assumption behind it. And we can expand it to like first three TV series that new users see or something, but I'll keep it simple. So use the first series user choose right now. So with these two data point, I'm trying to have an estimation like if we renew this, if we didn't renew this TV series license, how many user might churn after this? So having an estimation how much money this TV series have help us made, and also how much money we might sacrifice if we don't renew this
Hmm.
TV series. So with this data point, I can have a sense of the benefit I'm getting, and also based on how much we pay previous for the license, we can have a pros and cons evaluation first.
Mm-hmm.
So with these, we can like evaluating the first option. If we renew the series exclusively, the situation might persist. Like the user will stay, and we are paying how much money, and the use how much money we are making from these users. And then the option two, um, if we renew the license but it's not exclusive, it's actually the other streaming platform might have the series as well. Then how much money we might want to pay because the user won't churn. Um, and also we won't probably earn more users as they are having different set of estimated revenue and also estimated cost on each option. And then the third
Mm-hmm.
one is we don't renew any series, then how many users we might lose and how much money we might lose as they are. So having all these data points on three different options, I'm pitching that we have like distribution and also confidence interval for each of the estimation. Using this way, I'm doing like the low bound and also high bound of the estimated revenue and also estimated cost.
Mm-hmm.
So because this question mentioned we need to negotiate, so with all these numbers and also confidence interval, I'm trying to pitch the low bound of the cost we might spending. So start from this number, we can see the TV series providers' reaction, and we can negotiate from there. If they want more, we can justify with the data point, and if they um, like coming back and forth, we have more data point to pointing out that maybe the the fees they are requesting doesn't worth the benefit we're actually getting. We have more data point to negotiate during the process.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so to recap, then you're basically pitching three options, like one of them being to renew an exclusive license, to renew a non exclusive license, or to not renew at all. And then you're trying to provide an upper and lower bound of both the revenue and the potential costs of each option, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Perfect. I think that's a great place for us to pause for today. Thank you so much, Weitsun, for answering these questions. I'd love to kind of switch into our like analysis portion now, where maybe you can try to pretend that you're the interviewer and tell me a little bit about like what do you think went well and versus like what do you think you would have done differently.
No problem. So let's take a step back to the first question about the Instagram's like balancing between ads and also the follower post. I feel like I pitch like good solution throughout the process. It's just the way I deliver it. It can be more organized. I can section my answer into different parts. Like the first part, I like the metrics definition is okay, but in the middle of the experiment design, I feel like I can have the hypothesis set up first, and then why I'm doing this, and then the end, how I'm going to do it, and what's my expected result. I think in this way, the interviewer might be easier to follow my thinking process.
Mhm.
Even though the whiteboard might help, but uh, my answer might come in like to one part and then jump to another part a little bit too quick, so it might be a little bit harder to follow. So I think
Mhm.
like putting in into different parts and also like for the part of experiment design what I will do, and then the second part I will do the analysis and what exactly I'll do. Like using this big chunk of different part of conversation might be easier to follow. I will suggest myself to do better next time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think organizing your answer, especially since you have the whiteboard at your convenience, can always say you can section off like the results of your A/B test or whatever statistical testing you're doing based off of each possible result. You can have like a flow chart of like, okay, what this is the action that we're gonna take. That like, oh, maybe we'll do. Having that like flow chart of your like decision process is really helpful. But actually, there were also like plenty of things I thought you really did well in this interview. So, for example, I like that you proposed a variety of different metrics. It wasn't just one metric, and you proposed it for like different axes. So, for the first question, you proposed metrics for both engagement and metrics. And I also like that you justified why each of them is useful, and then also talked a little bit about like the effects in the short term versus the long term of how like you might actually need to repeat these A/B tests, and you talked about the scenarios in which you might need to like run another A/B test. Um, yeah, and lastly, I also like that for the last question, the Netflix licensing negotiation deal question, it was like very open ended, and I like that you came up with very concrete options of like, okay, well, here are the three possible options that we can negotiate for, and here are the calculations that we would run for each of them to try to decide what is like the confidence interval for each of them and how that would guide our decision making process. So I really appreciated how well thought out that was and the attention to detail. So thanks so much for being here today with us, Wei Twin. And thank you everybody for watching. If you have any upcoming interviews, good luck. Bye everyone.